A check on the currency space now, where the Indian rupee declined to fresh 6-week lows, breaking the 50 mark as companies stepped up dollar purchases on maturing foreign loans, the weak equities and election results in UP and Punjab. All of that has put pressure onto the Indian rupee. The euro also slipped to 2-week lows ahead of bond swap deadline and worries over the health of the eurozone and slowing global growth. Commodity currencies also declined, with New Zealand dollar hitting a 5-week lows, while the Australian dollar hit a 1-week low, while the safe havens like the dollar and Japanese yen saw some buying today. Let's go across then to Satyajit Kanjilal. He is CEO ForexServe and he joins us right here in our studios. Mr. Kanjilal, hi, welcome to the show. I mean, how do you look at the Indian rupee movements? We've seen 3 consecutive days of decline. What kind of levels are you working with?
Well, the rupee obviously has seen some downturn right now, with the support at 48.60 holding, and then again after it came up to 49, then there was buying there. So obviously, the closer to the year end, there is a lot of demand for dollars, and there are redemption of FCCBs, as you mentioned earlier. So all put together, and then again the global scenario, which you also painted, is one of again increased pessimism rather than optimism. So if you put all that together, it was a case for the rupee to weaken, at least, if not for the long term, at least for the short term. So therefore we see the rupee maybe basing out under 50-50, and then again maybe in the longer term it might again start strengthening. And obviously this will have to do a lot with the euro's behavior going forward.
We have been talking about the elections' impact on the Indian rupee. That's quite clearly into the markets. Budget is yet another big thing that would be coming in. Do you see further declines before we close this quarter?
Well, I think the markets are factoring in a couple of things. One is, budget that is going to be not very customer friendly, not very investor friendly. So obviously because of the fiscal deficit that we have, that will be the major concern. And in trying to look at inflation, the RBI hasn't been able to really cut rates as people were expecting. So therefore, I think there are a couple of things that are lined up. So you have the railway budget, then you have the budget, and before that, I think you have the monetary policy. So all put together, everything is in a cauldron right now. So overall, I think things are going to be on pins. I personally do not feel the rupee has much to weaken, because most of these things, the worst has been factored in. Of course, it will also mean that the RBI has to step in at some point to stem the rot.
Because you have talked about the domestic cues. If you look at the international cues, those are also not very supportive for the Indian rupee, with euro at around nearly 2.5-week lows. Do you think that would put pressure, and how do you look at the euro data now? Okay,
now we have seen, we have spoken about this in the past. We've seen that the euro has weathered a lot. It has improved from 127 regions to 135, which was basically the target that we had projected here on your show here. But right now it is correcting, and I think somewhere close to 130-ish. There is a chance, there's a fair chance that it will hold up. And if it does and starts moving up higher again, then the rupee will get supported, I think. And the same is true for all the other parameters in the market that you spoke about, like the Australian dollar, or for that matter even gold or oil, or Nifty for that matter. So all put together, it seems that everything is going through a corrective phase, and I think at some point risk-taking will again start. So the theme has been risk-taking, which is off the table right now, and the question is when it comes back again.
The kind of China GDP target that they have come out with is not very supportive for the risky assets, and we saw all of that impact coming onto the international markets as well. How are you reading Asia in that light?
Well, you've seen that Asia has, weathered this European storm to a great extent, and China, of course, has been slowing down. There are strong attempts by the Chinese authorities to stem the highly inflationary situation there has been successful. So having said that, it's not unfair to expect what you see. It was what the expected result was, and that's what you're seeing. Similarly for India, when you have rates put up 10 times in 10 months, you expect what you see. So how they're going to ease is another matter. But I think China has a little more period of waiting before they do that. But India, I think, would be the one to move quickly, I think, on this one, because they've already done a little bit, and I think they'll start more of it. And the ECB, of course, as I was mentioning earlier, that they have already done a small cut, and I think their inflation rates are low. So overall, I think inflationary expectations globally are lower. So growth obviously in the Asian region will be questioned as it will be in Europe, but US is another matter. You see growth creeping up there in a smarter way than we thought.
As has been indicative of the data that has been coming out. But just to let you, last question on rupee, really coming back to that one, we are heading into a fiscal year end and a quarter end as well. How are you working with? What range do you see this quarter ending with?
Well, I mean, if you talk about fiscal situation, I think, obviously that's not a question, but then you're talking about rupee, but then we feel that, the targets will be missed, and I think they're going to revise it to 5.5 of GDP. But that will have, obviously that has been factored in. So I think we're slightly off our projections. We thought rupee could be somewhere closer to 48 at this point of time. But I think we are somewhere going to be somewhere under 50-50 if I'm not too much off the mark this time around. So 50-50 could be the downside for the rupee.
You don't see 51?
Well, I mean, between us, what is 50 paisa?
Well, that's
so what I'm saying is, it's okay. You take it that way. So 51 to 49, 49.50 could be the range that we are looking at this point of time.
All right, Mr. Kanjilal, we'll let you go at that. Thank you so much for joining us. So 49 to 51, watch out for that range for the rest of the March year. And if you have any commodity queries or currency queries for that matter, our experts on ET Now will be glad to answer. Write to us at hotcommodities@etnow.tv and we will solve it all for you.